Hello, hi, welcome. It's everyone's favorite unkempt snuggle pepper, here with another episode of Art Critique from Reddit. Um, so number one, you have a really cute character. She is adorable. I really like this. I think you have a lot of good things going on. You have a nice color palette. You saved it as a PNG, which is really cool. Uh, the only thing is when I copied and pasted it, you didn't have a background. Um, so it was entirely black and I had to go in. So some of the lines appear a little thicker than they do in the original, and the little hearts didn't have an outline to them. So I just want to make note of that there's a slight difference. Um, so what I would do, good job saving as a PNG. It has a higher image quality than a JPEG. The first thing I would do is make a larger canvas. This was about 900 by I think 600 or 700 pixels. I would go up to at least. I try not to do anything smaller than about 2,000. My next thing that might make life a little easier is to use a gray background. It allows you to see the colors a little bit more accurately. Color is relative. So when we use a light background, it's going to appear that they're in a very, very bright light, which is not necessarily true. So I would go with that. Number two, this is a little bit of opinion. I would go with a little bit thicker line, and I would go with something that is more pressure sensitive so that you can get a variation in line. So when we zoom in, and keep in mind this did go up in size a little bit, so it's a little bit pixelated from the original. So I'm gonna pick a nice purple. Right here we have places where the lines don't necessarily line up correctly. I think a little bit of a thicker line weight, minus her little hair uh, dangles. I'm sure they're better. Let's see. Yeah, I think that might just be how I filled it in. Um, so I would use a slightly different line weight. And when you have a larger canvas, you can make the brush pretty small or pretty big. But I would uh, just bring that line up just a little bit to hide some of those shakiness and whatnot. My next note is going to be the shading on her dress is very soft and it appears like it's not there at all. So what I would do, I think where you have the red, where you're getting more of that blush color, I think that's pretty good, and I would blend that out a little bit. So as it is, but with the dress, I would go with a cell shading because she is more of a cartoon character. So what I do when I'm going to cell shade is I create a new layer. And I pick a nice shade of purple because generally if you have a warm light, you have a cool shadow. So I go with a shade of purple. And for things that are light, for example, her dress, I'm going to go with a lighter purple. I'm going to go with this color. I'm going to use a hard brush. So the opacity doesn't change with pressure. The size will change with pressure, and there's no soft edges. So what I will do is I'll think if the light is coming this way, then everything on this side is going to have a shadow, and anything that sticks out is going to cast a shadow. So like her breast, you had a good start. You were right. There's going to be a shadow here. Her hair is going to cast a shadow. And one of the many things you can do is also use fill to fill in all those spaces once you draw the outline of the shadow. But this is going to make you think about where is the light coming from and where am I going to have a shadow shape. you can define the form with shadows and with only one shade fairly easily. It's kind of a fun challenge to see, you know, where I can place a shadow to convey as much information about form as possible without with the limitation of only using one color. And you see with Ruffles, if she has a pleated skirt, so something like I know Sailor Moon just recently revived. If you have a pleated skirt like one of theirs, then you're going to have shadows in places like that as well. And then the skirt that goes underneath her skirt, a little petticoat, is going to have some shadow as well. And because we're using this as a different layer, we can go in and kind of make some of those highlights by going in and erasing a little bit. And you're thinking, wow, that's a lot of purple. That's pretty dark. Yes, but we're going to go in and we're going to change the opacity. And when it comes to cell shading, this is a great way to do it without having to necessarily pick all new colors. Now, picking new colors does come with an advantage. It's a little bit more customized. It fits things a little better. Right. Then her face will have just a little bit of shadow on it. Nose casts a bit of a shadow. We'll put shadow right there. And then her hair will also have shadow. And I would put this layer on top of your base color and below the line art. Since I copied this off the internet, I don't have the advantage of layers. So there we have some shadow. Remove my little sticky note. So there it is at 45%. So that has created a cool shadow on top of everything that was already there. And that shadow defines the form a lot better than the soft shading that was there before. So I would continue to study cartoons and the type of stuff that you want to emulate. And I would also continue to study from real life and from photographs of things to know where those shadows land. Now, my last note is going to be on the anatomy. So a few notes. We'll switch up pens here. So when it comes to her face, she has this smirk. But usually when we wink, the side of the mouth that goes up is the side where the eye closes. So I would have swapped her mouth. Her mouth seems to go a little too far. Okay, I'm going to try this out. Oh, wrong layer. So we have her face begins to move a little too much. So I'm going to put her nose isn't moving, right? It's going to stay right there. And then I would have her, oh, that's way too big. Smile this way. And then we see that when we go down the center of the face, her chin should actually be here going up this way. So a little bit of the chin got knocked off. Next, these two lines, if she's wearing a choker, right here is that dip in your neck where your neck meets the top of your collarbone. So these two lines that go on the side of the neck are actually way up there. And because of the choker, I wouldn't even worry about them. And then her collarbone is actually right here rather than down here. Another note on anatomy, her dress is going up pretty high, so which is fine. In order to get cleavage, her dress should actually swoop down to about here. If you want the sweetheart neck, you can still do it. I would put it there and there. Give her armpits a little bit of breathing room. I don't know if you've ever worn a dress that goes up too high and it's all up in your deodorant and it's not a good time. So I would bring her dress down here, and then to have boobs that perky at this size, they would come down a little bit, and they have a bit of weight, and especially when you start getting beyond a C or a D in cup size, when you're starting to get a larger size happening, you do have a bit of the side boob. So I think she would have a bit more weight along her waist. And then with this leg, it doesn't quite feel like it's coming out from the hip. So she's standing like this. This hip's going to come out a little bit more. So you're going to have her love handle, her actual hip bone, and then her skirt's going to floof off, where this is going to come in a little bit. And I would tilt the skirt this way because this hip is going that way. That's a bunch of messy notes. I'm not going to make you sit through me redrawing and recoloring everything. Just a few notes on that. Oh, by the way, good job on getting the lighter inner part of the hand. Great placement of the redness that happens where our skin tends to be a little closer. I would add, this is a stylistic choice, but I would add just a little bit of the red to her nose, as it does tend to be more red. And of course, you can see a bit of her smile. And remember, the lips do stretch. Do stretch when we're doing a smile. I would go ahead and move this line a bit more like that, since when we do wink, it moves the face, and we do have those wrinkles. My last note, a little minor. Oop. I would move that knuckle out just a little bit because I assume she's standing in that cute pose. You know the one. Her knuckles wouldn't be seen quite that much. Anywho, that concludes another episode of Art Critiques from Reddit. I'll see you next time. Stay spicy.